This man sold an airport that does not exist to a Brazilian for the sum of $242 million. This is one of the most advanced cases of fraud in modern history. Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'll be taking you on a journey to unravel one of the most advanced fraud cases that had ever been committed in the history of mankind. In order to know more about the mystery of the imaginary airport that was sold for $242 million to a Brazilian, make sure you watch this video to the very end. Don't forget to subscribe and share. Thank you. This man right here is a Nigerian fraudster who duped a Brazilian through impersonating the former governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria. He deceived the Brazilian banker by name Nelson Sakakuchi to the tune of $242 million with promise of investing in an airport in Abuja, the capital city of Nigeria. Although he was later caught, arrested and jailed in Nigeria, this case remains the 8 wonders of the world. Ever heard that Nigeria is endowed with rich humans and natural resources? A lot of people hear human resources and think more along the lines of those people who have been able to use their brains, talent and potentials to do things which have improved the nation in terms of the economy and caused her to stand indeed as the giant of Africa. But what about those who use their brains and talent to dispossess others of their hard-earned monies without the aid of a gun? Not just referring to the everyday pickpocketing of fraudsters or the mafias of the 419 game. One of them is Emmanuel Nwude. For those familiar with the exploit of this fraudster of intercontinental repute, this is one of the conmen who went beyond conning individuals to the level of conning a national bank of a country all the way across the continent. Emmanuel Nwude is a notable advanced fee fraud, or what is referred to as 419, and was a former director at the then defunct Union Bank of Nigeria. Emmanuel, who defrauded a Brazilian of the tune of $242 million, was a Nigerian banker who actually used his position to defraud an international bank to the tune of $242 million. The deal which made him famous was his defrauding a Brazilian man, Nelson Sakakuchi, a director at Brazil's Banco Nordeste based in Sao Paulo, to the tune of $242 million. $191 million in cash and the rest in the form of outstanding interest between the space of 3 years, 1995 and 1998. This fraud case was one of the largest in the history of banking, second only to the looting of the Iraqi Central Bank by Qusay Hussein and Nick Leeson trading losses at Barings Bank. Of course, Emmanuel Nwude did not accomplish such a feat single-handedly, but had accomplices in the persons of Emmanuel Ofolue, Nzeribe Okoli, and Obum Osakwe, along with the husband and wife duo Christian Ikechukwu Anajemba and Amaka Anajemba. Not only that, he also had access to high-quality GPRS that enabled him to impersonate Paul Oguma, the then governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria. Standing in the shoes of this personality, he successfully convinced Sakakuchi to invest in the new airport project in the nation's capital, Abuja, in exchange for about $10 million commission. With this proposal coming from a supposed CBN governor, who would turn such an offer down? Sakakuchi, who was in charge of the all international areas, was made to believe he would benefit from a $187 million Ministry of Aviation contract, which had an overriding interest of $13.4 million. All he had to do to get this benefit was to facilitate its execution by contributing financially. Sakakuchi swallowed the bait, hook, line and sinker, and began pumping in Nordeste money without approval from his superior officers into an account designated by Emmanuel Nwude. Through tales that the contract money was ready for payment and supported by fake letters purported to have emanated from the office of the then governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Nwude and his fellow collaborators urged Sakakuchi on for more funds and in the process fleeced Banco Nordeste extensively. This deal went on for a while until August 1997, when the Spanish Banco Santander wanted to take over the Banco Nordeste Brazil. When a joint board meeting was done in December of that year, an official from Santander, Mr. Antonio, who was also the president-designate of the proposed Santander Nordeste Group, inquired into why a large sum of money, which amounted to 40% of Nordeste's total value and half of their capital, was sitting in a Cayman Islands unmonitored. He noted that the discrepancies observed in the balance sheet for offshore deposit of foreign currencies was within the operation of the office directly under Sakakuchi's control. Hota demanded an explanation from one of the bank's 2 managers of operations and control, who in turn requested the bank's accounting manager to investigate the discrepancies. This led to intensive criminal investigations in Brazil, Britain, Nigeria, Switzerland, and the United States. The investigation conducted while Sakaguchi was on vacation revealed how he facilitated the fraudulent misappropriation of the sum of $242 million. When he was questioned on February 1998 on his discovery, Sakaguchi merely admitted he lost between $9 million and $12 million of the bank's money by acting as a trader. The development led to a full-scale audit of the transaction done by Sakaguchi. However, since the sale could not await the outcome of the investigation, the owners of the Banco Noreste paid the $242 million bill themselves. But even that did not stop the Banco Noreste from collapsing in 2001. The audit was carried out by the bank's audit department and its external auditors. But before the audit report was submitted, executive officers of the bank and its internal audit and legal department held a meeting with Sakaguchi on 11th of February 1998. At the meeting, the troubled banker admitted that he had invested Banco Noreste's money in the construction of an airport in Nigeria, although he refused to state the exact amount. But he argued before his interviewers that the investment was profitable and would certainly deliver huge returns for his bank. He also admitted he made payment to a voodoo priestess apparently for spiritual assistance on the deal he entered into with Nude and his collaborators. The huge sum involved in the saga, as well as the countless other reports of similar fraud they had done and the dirty image they had given Nigeria, eventually spurred the president at the time into taking decisive actions to cage the fraudsters. At that instance, the president at the time and the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC) was created by the Nigerian National Assembly in 2002, and by February 2004, he was arrested along with his allies and charged in the Abuja High Court with 86 counts of fraudulently seeking advance fee and 15-count charge of bribery related to the case. As most people would do in their position, they all pleaded not guilty. They were immediately warned off of bribing the court staff by Abuja High Court judge. Eventually, by July 2004, the judge handling the case threw the case out, claiming that since the crime did not take place in Abuja, he had no jurisdiction over it, and said that the proper place for the case would be the Lagos High Court, being the location from which the acts were perpetrated. The defendants were immediately rearrested after stepping outside the courthouse, and the case was moved to Lagos. In 2005, Emmanuel attempted to bribe Nuhu Ribadu, the head of the EFCC, with $75,000 cash, and was charged in connection with the attempted bribery in addition to the attempted kidnapping of a prosecution witness. In July 2005, one of the accomplices, Amaka Anajemba, spilled the beans and admitted to aiding the fraud. She was then sentenced to 2.5 years in prison and ordered to repay her own part of the $25.5 million. Eventually, Emmanuel Nwude and Nzeribe Okoli pleaded guilty after hearing the testimony of one of the prosecution witnesses from Sakaguchi. In hopes of getting a more lenient sentences, they were sentenced to 29 years in prison collectively, with Nwude receiving 5 concurrent sentences of 5 years, totaling 25, and Okoli receiving 4. All of Nwude's assets were confiscated to be returned to the victims, and a $10 million fine was imposed to be paid to the Nigerian federal government. It was the first major conviction of the EFCC, even though he was released from prison in 2006. As soon as he was released, he made moves to recover some of his assets via a lawsuit, claiming that some of the assets were acquired before the offense was committed. Between 2006 and 2016, he was able to reclaim not less than $167 million after the judge ruled in his favor. This was the story of one of the most advanced fraud that had ever taken place in the history of mankind. Guys, do well to drop your honest comments in the comment section. Tell us what you think about this situation. Don't forget to subscribe and share. Thank you.